Welcome to worship at First Presbyterian. We at First Presbyterian practice a spacious Christianity, which means no matter where you are in your faith journey, you belong and there is space for you at the table. There is space for your doubts and questions. We believe doubts and questions are a gift that invite us into deeper conversations and a more authentic faith. We believe diversity is a strength. Every story is sacred and everybody matters. We do our best to live the spacious and radical love of Jesus so that all might have a chance to flourish in this world. We are so glad to connect with you in this way. We would also love to worship with you in person if you're ever in the neighborhood on Sunday mornings at 8:30 or 10 a.m. and never hesitate to reach out to us to learn more about us or how we might support you. I hope you enjoy this worship service. Welcome.
There's a remarkable story where Jesus and his disciples fed thousands of hungry people with just 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, and there were leftovers. Here's the story from Matthew's Gospel. Jesus withdrew by boat privately to a solitary place. The crowds followed him on foot from the towns. When Jesus landed and saw a large crowd, he had compassion on them and healed their sick. As evening approached, the disciples came to him and said, "This is a remote place. It's already getting late. Send the crowds away so they can go to the villages and buy themselves some food." Jesus replied, "They do not need to go away. You give them something to eat." "We have here only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish," they answered. "Bring them to me," Jesus said. Jesus directed the people to sit down on the grass, taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, and looking up to heaven, he gave thanks and broke the loaves. Then he gave them to the disciples, and the disciples gave them to the people. They all ate and were satisfied. And the disciples picked up 12 basketfuls of broken pieces that were left over. The number of those who ate was about 5,000 men, besides women and children. Love that story. Parker Palmer told a modern version of this same story. Now, Palmer's story takes place in that, remember that time long ago when there were no security lines at the airport? No electronic screening? And remember the time you could actually carry pretty much whatever you wanted onto the airplane? Seems like a distant memory, right? But Palmer was on a flight from O'Hare in Chicago to Denver that pulled away from the gate, taxied, and taxied a long time. You know the feeling, right? You look out the window and you're not near the runway ready for takeoff, but you're in some remote corner of the airport looking at a chain link fence. Your heart sinks as the engine winds down. The pilot came on the intercom. "I have some bad news. There's a storm front in the west, exactly where we're headed. Denver is socked in and shut down. Looks like we'll be staying right here for a few hours." That's bad news. But the really bad news is that we have no food on board. This story's from that blessed time long ago where there was actually real food on board and you were served lunch. Well, everybody on the airplane groaned. Some passengers actually got pretty angry. But then one of the flight attendants stood in the aisle with the microphone. "We're really sorry, folks. We didn't plan it this way. We can't do anything about it. But we know that for some of you, this is a big deal. You're hungry. Some of you have a medical condition and you really need to eat. Some of you may not care. So I have an idea. We have a couple of empty bread baskets up here, and we're going to pass them around. I want everybody to put something in the basket. Now, I know some of you have brought a little snack along, just in case, peanut butter crackers, candy bars. Some of you might have Rolaids, Lifesavers, chewing gum. And if you don't have something edible, I'm guessing you have a business card or a picture of your kids or a bookmark. The thing is, I hope everybody puts something in the basket, because I'm sure that you have something to give. And then once we do that, we'll reverse the process. We'll pick up the baskets and we'll pass them around again. And then everybody can take out what he or she needs. Well, what happened next was nothing short of amazing. First, the complaining and the griping stopped. People actually started to reach deep into their pockets, their handbags, their briefcases. Some stood up, retrieved carry-on luggage from overhead bins and got out boxes of candy, a salami, Italian sausage, cheese, crackers. A couple of people actually had a couple bottles of wine. And now people, they were laughing. They were talking to each other. The flight attendant had transformed a group of anxious, even angry people focused on their need and deprivation and scarcity into a generous community, sharing, and in the process, creating an abundance of sorts. Well, that flight eventually took off and landed. And as he disembarked, Parker Palmer found that flight attendant and said, you know, there's a story in the Bible about what you did. And she smiled and said, yeah, I know the story. That's why I did it. The story of 5 loaves and 2 fish feeding thousands is actually the only miracle story told in all 4 Gospels. And there's evidence that when the earliest followers of Jesus, when they gathered together after Jesus was killed, they would gather in fear under the cover of darkness. Now, there's evidence that when they gathered, they would break bread and drink wine and remember Jesus. And they would read this story about 5 loaves and 2 fish feeding thousands. And it would give them the courage they needed to live and to love like Jesus in difficult times. So in the story, a huge crowd had been following Jesus, listening to him teach, hoping to be healed, bringing their children to be blessed. It was late in the day. Everyone was hungry. The disciples tell Jesus, send the people away, because they knew there wasn't enough food. Here's where the first miracle happens. Jesus, filled with compassion, Jesus doesn't send them away. So often our first response so often comes from a place of scarcity and fear, where we focus on what we don't have. We focus on how big the problem is, how we don't have enough, how we don't have enough time, we don't have enough energy, we don't have enough talent, we don't have enough resources. We can't possibly make a difference. The first miracle of the story is that Jesus doesn't send them away. We live in a culture today where people are expendable. We live in a culture today that sends people away, fearing there won't be enough if we share. Jesus says they don't need to go away. And then do you notice? Jesus says, you give them something to eat. I wish I was there to see the disciples' faces when he said that. Wait a minute, Jesus. What do you mean we should give them something to eat? You might not have noticed, Jesus, but all we have between us is 5 loaves of bread and 2 salted fish, which is hardly even a snack for 12 hungry men, never mind thousands. There are over 5,000 people here, Jesus. No disrespect, but are you out of your mind? Now, the disciples were operating out of a sense of scarcity. They looked at the crowd, assessed the need, and their own meager resources, and came to the very sensible conclusion: there's not enough. Did you notice in the story, Jesus didn't feed the multitudes? The disciples did. Jesus said, what? Just give me what you have. Give me what you have now. And you give them something to eat. I wonder what did happen that day. How were thousands fed with leftovers from 5 loaves and 2 fish? Now, of course, we don't really know. So let's just simply go with what the text says. The disciples gave what they had, and it was enough. It became in abundance. Maybe it was something like what happened on that airplane. Maybe Jesus' compassion and the disciples' trust and generosity were so humbling and inspiring that maybe people began to dig in their pockets and share scraps of bread that they had brought along. Maybe they put in money and the disciples took the money and took turns running into town to buy bread. Maybe what happened is a mystery and can't be explained. However it happened, what we do know is that they gave the meager amount they had, and there was enough for all, with leftovers. What we do know is that their first response, their initial response, came from a place of fear and scarcity and self-preservation to send them away. And Jesus, filled with compassion, said, "No, you give them something to eat." Our culture believes the antidote to fear is security. The antidote to fear is just trying to acquire more and more and to hold on tightly to what we have. The Bible makes it clear the only antidote to fear is love. It says in 1 John, love casts out fear. Anne Lamott wrote, "I know that if I feel any fear or deprivation, the solution is to give, and to give more than I'm comfortable giving. The solution," she says, is to find some mothers on the streets of San Rafael and give them 10s and 20s and mail a check to Doctors Without Borders. Because I know that giving is the only way to feel abundant. Giving is the way to fill ourselves up. This is a difficult and a painful moment in our life, our common life together. I mean, the very air we breathe right now is saturated with fear and anxiety. There's so much need. It's tempting. It's tempting to want to hold on tight to what we have. It's tempting to go into survival mode and be overcome by a sense of scarcity and fear. I want to leave you with an image of another story about bread. Viktor Frankl survived the concentration camps of Nazi Germany. He observed that those who somehow managed to survive, and those who didn't survive, they each shared something in common. Surviving the harshest circumstances you could imagine, it turns out had nothing to do with age, how old you were, or male or female, or how healthy or strong you happen to be. Frankl noticed that those who didn't survive, they took the little bread that they were rationed each day, the small pieces of bread that they were given as a ration, and they clutched it tightly, hoarding it for themselves, fearing there wouldn't be enough. And Frankl was shocked to notice that those who somehow overcame the worst conditions you can imagine, they took the little bread they were given, They opened their hearts and their hands, and they shared their bread with children and the sick and the elderly. That kind of generosity, that kind of love cast out fear and proved to be stronger than the worst kind of evil. And friends, we're called to bring that kind of love into the world, especially now. Jesus said back then, and he keeps saying now, bring me what you have. Just bring me what you have. You feed them. I don't know what your 5 loaves and 2 fish are right now. Given the enormity of the need in the world, what you have might feel small and insignificant and not worth mentioning. Your gifts are not small. They're not insignificant. You are not small or insignificant. Something miraculous happens when we come together and generously share what we have for the sake of others. God turns our meager gifts into abundance. The story says, everyone ate and were filled, and there were leftovers. That's the God we serve. One who wants to make sure that there's enough for everyone. I want to offer you this prayer. Gracious God, thank you for reminding us that in your hands, even the little we have is enough. Forgive us. Forgive us for the times our first response is fear. Forgive us for the times when we see scarcity instead of your abundance. When we focus on what we lack instead of what you call us to give. When we clutch tightly to what we have, fearing there won't be enough. Teach us to trust you more deeply, to bring what we have, however small, entrusting it to the work of love in the world. Remind us that when we feel fear and deprivation, that generous giving is the way to feel abundant. That giving is the way to fill ourselves up. Increase our faith, our compassion, our willingness to serve, so that all might be fed by your love and your grace. May it be so.
There is mercy enough, there is grace enough, there is love enough for all of us. There is mercy enough, there is grace enough, there is love enough for all of us. There is mercy enough, there is grace enough, there is love enough for all of us. There is mercy enough, there There is grace enough. There is love enough for all of us. There is mercy enough. There is grace enough. There is love enough for all of us. There is mercy enough. There is grace enough. There is love enough for all of us. There is mercy enough. There is grace enough. There is love enough for all of us. There is mercy enough. There is grace enough. There is love enough for all of us. There is mercy enough. There is grace enough. There is love enough for all of us. There is mercy enough. There is grace enough. There is love enough for all of us. There is mercy enough. There is grace enough. There is love enough for all of us. There is mercy enough. There is grace enough. There is love enough for all of us. There is mercy enough. There is grace enough. There is love enough for all of us. There is mercy enough. There is grace enough. There is love enough for all of us.
Friends, go in the peace and the love of Christ. And may the generosity and the love, may what you have to give in this world bring peace to others and fill hearts with the abundance of God's love. Amen.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed this worship service. If you would like to make a donation, helping make these podcasts possible, or support the many ways First Presbyterian seeks to serve our community, you can make a financial gift online at bendfp.org. Every week, we hear from someone thanking us for the gift of these broadcasts and what a difference they make. Your support makes that possible. Our church is committed to reach beyond our walls, bringing hope where there is despair and love where it is needed the most. Your generous support helps us to be generous in love. Go to our website, bendfp.org, and click on the link Give Online. Your support is really appreciated and makes a difference in people's lives. Thanks again. I hope to see you next week.